Hey everyone, this is DW's Darius and welcome to another day in the fish room. Today I want to share with you guys some tips on how you can have a more successful and enjoyable aquarium. Maybe you're new to the hobby, or maybe you've been in the hobby and you're just not getting the results you want from your aquarium. Today I have 3 tips that may help you with that problem. So if you really want a more successful aquarium, the first thing you need to do is weekly progress reports on your aquarium. How do you do that? Simply test the water of your aquarium once a week. When you test your water, you're really giving yourself a progress report to know how you did as a fish keeper for that week. I myself didn't do too well this past week. I tested my water today and I had high nitrates, and that's because I overfeed these fish often. They always come to me begging and I just can't resist. But of course that's not a good thing. But now I know that next week I'm definitely not going to feed as much. A couple of weeks ago I tested my water in this aquarium and I found out that I had some ammonia in this aquarium. It turns out that during a feeding of raw shrimp, one of the pieces of shrimp got stuck behind that rock and it was slowly decaying in this aquarium. It was created ammonia, and you know ammonia is the silent killer. So had it not been for my weekly progress report, I probably would have had a lot of problems. By the way, who can notice the ghost knife over there in the bush? I love that natural effect. Look at that. He's just in there looking so natural, so camouflage. That's the ghost knife right there. So when you test your water, you definitely have the upper hand when it comes to fish keeping. Now, I know I wasn't testing my water frequently because it was just too much of a headache. I had to go ahead and use my API test kit. I think this is the most common one. It's pretty accurate. But it takes so long. I had to fill up all these. That takes a minute. Add the solutions takes another minute. 5 minutes for the results. That doesn't sound too long, but I have all these aquariums and it took me over a half an hour to test all my water, which was annoying, and that's the reason why I wasn't doing it once a week. However, it's 2021 and there are a ton of products that you can use to test your water. I went to Amazon, just looked at different brands, and I came across this brand. Just based on reviews that I saw, I picked it up. It was also a decent price, and these are test strips, and right away you know a test strip is much easier than the other way of testing water like that. So I bought it. First thing I did was make sure it was accurate, so I test my water with this, and I also test my water with my API master test kit to make sure that they lined up. Once I saw that they lined up, this has been my main testing method for all of 2021, which has only been like 4 weeks, but definitely a much easier process. So I had to buy ammonia separately because ammonia reads differently. This one takes 30 seconds to test, and this one over here takes 60 seconds to test, and this one tests your total hardness, your nitrate, your nitrite, your CL, not really sure what that is, your carbonate, and also your pH. So you test all those in just 90 seconds. All you have to do is dip the strip in, very easy. So that means we have no excuse when it comes to testing our waters. Test your waters once a week and you definitely will improve as a fish keeper because you know what to do and you know what not to do. The next tip for a more successful aquarium is to simply add plants to your tank. You'll be amazed at the benefit of plants to your aquarium. These things are natural filtration sources. So much so that I was able to create an aquarium that only relies on plants for filtration. This tank has been running well over a year, and it only has plants creating oxygen for the fish. It only has plants consuming the waste that the fish produce, and that tank is awesome. So much so that I'm even starting a second tank that only relies on plants for filtration. Now, plants in your tank can serve a number of different purposes, but I think the main benefits of plants is one, they help consume waste produced by your fish. You see those roots in there? Those roots are used to consume nitrites and nitrates that your fish produce, which I believe is the #1 benefit of plants for your aquarium. After that, they also compete with algae. So in tanks where there's a lot of light or just a high bioload and normally you get algae is fueled by nitrites and nitrates produced by your fish. And like I said, plants, they eat that stuff, they love that stuff, and plants will compete with algae. The more plants you have, the less algae you will have as well. And thirdly, if you have underwater plants, those underwater plants will produce oxygen for your fish. Plants are not just good for filtering your water, but they're also good for just safety for your fish. Like I said, if you have underwater plants, your fish can hide behind them. I have this pothos over here, which is producing a ton of roots, and a baby fish in this tank like to hide in those roots. And also just the aesthetic of plants. I love the way it looks, very beautiful. So much so that I went and I created me a little collection of plants, not just in my aquarium. I have plants all over the house, because when you realize how beneficial plants are, it really starts an addiction for them. And anyone can keep plants regardless of the fish you keep. You can see here I have Oscar, aka #1 plant killer, and I'm able to keep plants because I keep these terrestrial plants. If you have cichlids, you're most likely going to have to do terrestrial plants because they won't destroy them. And terrestrial plants actually remove more waste because they have access to CO2 that we breathe, and it's more above the water than it is underneath the water. When you get growth this good, you get roots that good, and when you have roots that good, you have a lot more waste consumption. So if you have cichlids like I do, cichlids can be destructive to underwater plants, but have no fear. Terrestrial plants will save your day and make your fish keeping experience a lot more successful. My final tip for a more successful fish keeping experience is to simply spend more time in front of your aquarium. Spend more time interacting with your fish. Sounds strange, but it's true. I know I myself used to spend more time doing maintenance on my aquariums than actually just sitting down enjoying my tanks. When you sit down in front of your tank for hours, not only does it benefit you because you are just relaxing in front of your tank, but it also benefits your fish because they get more used to you. For example, you see the big green guy in the back? He just went away, but I had this fish for like 4 years, and for the first 3 years, you never knew I had this fish. It wasn't until I started standing in front of the tank, interacting with the tank, till he found a little comfort being around me, and now this guy swims in front of me with no problem. An even greater example is in this aquarium. Anonymous, you remember how he used to be. He was always to himself and wasn't too aggressive. I spent more time in front of the tank, and now his interaction is amazing. The same story with all my fish. Upstairs in that no-tech tank, I have my gouramis jumping. And this aquarium, I would come with a piece of meat. This is raw fish, and he takes it out of my hand. And this all comes from simply spending time with your fish. The more time you spend with them, the more they get used to you, the more they trust you, the greater your experience. Now, when I say sit down in front of your tank for hours, I actually mean sit down in front of your tank for hours. With me, I used to sit down in front of my tank and eat dinner. I used to sit down in front of my tank and just do YouTube stuff on my phone. Even if you're not just paying attention to the tank, just your presence in front of these fish helps them get used to you, and it just makes your experience a lot greater. This is my ghost knife, a fish that's almost blind, and look at that relationship. It definitely makes fish keeping a lot more fun, just a lot more awesome. And if you can't do this with your fish, you're definitely missing out. And the only way, the easy way to get it is to simply spend time with them. Got a piece. Same thing, who got it? Female jaguar. She's a beast. So yeah, everyone, if you want a more successful aquarium, do those things that I told you guys, and no doubt success is coming your way. So yeah, these guys are ready to eat, so I'm just going to go ahead and feed them. Probably not on camera. Look at this guy. He's a beautiful fish. But yeah, not going to feed him on camera because it's going to take a while. But yeah, if you want to see a feeding, make sure you subscribe because I do feeding videos occasionally. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it helped somebody. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.